Hi everyone, in today's video I'll be showing you how to make these race gates. These can be used for Gaslands or just animations like I'll probably be using these for. Initially I did want to use some of those MDF laser cut ones, but I always found they were quite pricey and I figured I could build some a lot cheaper myself. As you'll see here, this is like a prototype version. You've probably seen a dozen times in my other animations. Just as I was kind of perfecting the design and figuring out where I want to go with them. So all I need to build these gates is 4 Lego or Lego-like 2x2x10 girder or support beams and 2 Lego minifig base plates. They don't have to actually be Lego, I just bought the knockoff versions off of eBay, which were much cheaper. And you can use either base plate. You can either use the 4x3 or the 4x5. I went with the 4x5s just because it's a bigger base plate. These are just to help keep the framework stood up. So I'll quickly show you how to assemble this. Sorry, this was poorly in camera, but as you can see the gate goes together easily without any need for glue. So if you don't really want to sacrifice Lego pieces, or in case you're using them for, obviously if you're building multiple different backgrounds and you don't want to constantly have them as gates and you want to use these support beams for other bits of background, you can do it that way. Here's a quick look with the other base plates. Again, either works fine. This is just to prevent the framework from tipping over. Now onto the actual building. First I start by removing all the studs I don't need. I'll be filling these gaps in later. And then start gluing the pieces together. That done, I then off camera sand down all the areas with gaps. And then fill in those gaps with some green stuff, which is a 2-part putty. Once mixed into a solid green colour, it's ready to work with. And then I apply this over the gaps using my metal ruler to force the green stuff into the gaps and just remove the excess as I go. I clean this up off camera, sanding it down and just getting rid of the excess I don't need. Next, onto the signage. For this I use some 2D letters that I bought from my local hobbycraft. Initially I was just going to attach them to the framework since they have a sticky back, using mismatched letters to show that these have been salvaged from other signs. After doing this initially, I thought it was a better idea to add some kind of back to it using some corrugated card as a backing. Improving on that idea, I decided to cut up a bunch of different materials to show that the entire sign was made up of different materials that had been salvaged throughout the wasteland. Once I'd assembled these signs, I attached them to the frame. To add to the signs, I had some rhinestones for rivets. Here's a quick look at the gates before I started to paint them. Onto the painting, I start with a base coat of Revell Aquacolor Rust. Followed by my usual dry brushing of Revell Aquacolor Steel. I then use multiple colours to paint the letters on the sign as well as the sign backing. Followed by a dry brushing of Revell Aquacolor Bronze, which is this browny orange to show the surface rust. And finally apply a black wash just to blend everything together and give it a nice dirty wasteland look. And here we have the finished gates. Quite an easy and simple build that I can't wait to get the use out of, with some future Gaslands animations as well as some other animations with my larger scale builds. This is also why I forego adding too much details. If I'd covered these in Hot Wheels and Matchbox car parts when I used them for my larger scale vehicles, it would have looked off. Likewise, if I'd used parts from larger scale builds. So for that reason I kept mine quite bare. But if you wanted to, you could add as much detail or as little detail as you wanted to. Anyway, I hope you found this tutorial useful. As usual, please stick around for the glamour shots as well as the short animation that I usually add to the end of these videos, and I'll see you all in the next one.